Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into a story packed with high society intrigue, cold-blooded murder, really.
And it all happens against this incredibly glamorous backdrop, a luxury train heading for the French Riviera.
Exactly. We're focusing on a classic, almost archetypal travel tragedy. It's a really complex murder mystery, and it all revolves around this legendary ruby, the Heart of Fire.
And the journey itself on the famous blue train.
Our source material here is excerpts from a pretty intricate detective story. We're talking layers upon layers of deception.
Absolutely. What makes this so fascinating, I think, is that we're not just dealing with one crime, but like two overlapping criminal plans happening at once. Hidden identities, misdirection. It's got everything.
It really does. So our mission today is to try and untangle this web, following the insights of, well, the master himself, Hercule Poirot.
Right, because he's the one who has to sift through the obvious suspects, the dramatic accusations, the seemingly perfect alibis.
And figure out what really drove the killer. Was it, a crime of passion? Or just cold, hard greed for those rubies?
Okay, let's set the scene a bit. Who are the key players here? Central to everything is the victim, Ruth Kettering.
She's the daughter of this very powerful American millionaire, Rufus Van Alden. The descriptions mention her auburn hair and this sort of determined jawline. Sounds like she took after her father in strength.
But her world, when we meet her, is full of conflict, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. She's on the blue train heading to the Riviera, yes. But she's also right in the middle of this bitter divorce from her husband, Derek Kettering.
And her father, Van Alden. He's fiercely protective.
Extremely. The sources mention he basically told Ruth's lawyer to go to the devil when the lawyer questioned his approach to the divorce settlement. He was not messing around when it came to protecting her.
And this protectiveness leads him to buy this incredible gift for Ruth.
The Heart of Fire ruby and its accompanying jewels. I mean, this wasn't just any necklace. It once belonged to Catherine the Great of Russia.
Yeah, valued at what, $400,000, maybe $500,000 back then? A staggering amount. A surprise gift.
Okay, so enter the rubies, and suddenly the motives just snap into focus, right?
Immediately. Let's look at the suspects circling Ruth. First, the husband, Derek Kettering.
The one she's divorcing. And the notes say he's financially on the rocks.
Pretty much ruined, yeah. And here's the kicker. He casually mentions to Van Alden, Ruth's father, that if Ruth were to die suddenly, without a will...
Let me guess.
He'd inherit £2 million.
$2 million. For a guy who's broke, that's more than a motive.
It's a lifeline, a game changer, and he says it so nonchalantly.
It sounds almost like a threat or a bizarre suggestion. He even tells Van Alden they need perfect frankness with Ruth. It's almost like he's setting up a defense already.
Very strange, yeah. Then there's suspect number 2, the lover, or former lover, maybe.
Right, the Comte Armand de la Roche, described as a plausible scoundrel. I like that.
He is, isn't he? Ruth is secretly planning to meet him again, a sort of rendezvous at this remote spot, the Isles door.
And how do we know this?
A letter, found later in Ruth's handbag. It confirms the meeting plans. But crucially, it also mentions the rubies, specifically her excitement about seeing them, handling them, supposedly for some book he claims he's writing about jewels.
Right, so she might be thinking romance.
But he's clearly thinking about the rubies. His motive seems pretty clear. Wealth.
Okay, husband, lover. Anyone else significant on this train?
Yes, there's a really important observer, Catherine Gray.
Ah, the innocent bystander.
Sort of. She just inherited a fortune herself from a Mrs. Harfield, and she's on the train literally seeking excitement, a new start.
And she finds it, I suppose.
She does.
Yeah.
She ends up having the last significant conversation with Ruth. And Ruth, according to Catherine, was in this state of intense panic.
Panic? About what?
Ruth apparently said she had a horrible feeling of something coming to me very soon. Real foreboding.
Chilling. So the victim knew, or at least strongly suspected, she was in danger. So, the murder happens. Ruth is found dead in her compartment. Where does the investigation go first?
Well, straight to the two men with the clearest motives, right? The lover and the husband. Let's start with the Comte de la Roche.
The plausible scoundrel.
Exactly. What's interesting about the Comte is that his original plan, as far as we can tell, was theft, not murder. Deception.
How so?
He wasn't planning violence. He'd actually commissioned a fake set of the rubies, a really good imitation.
A counterfeit.
A first-class imitation, yes. The idea was, during their secret meeting, He'd use his charm, the secrecy, everything, to swap the real jewels for the fakes.
And Ruth wouldn't notice or would be too embarrassed to report it.
Precisely. He gets the rubies, she's compromised, no police involved. Cunning, but not fatal.
So a thief, yes, but maybe not a killer. But wait, didn't he have an alibi?
He claims an alibi. When the police question him, he immediately insists he only arrived in Nice on the Tuesday the 14th. That's the day before the body was officially found.
That sounds a bit too convenient. If he was just planning a swap, why the need for such a specific, potentially shaky alibi?
Good question. And it is shaky. It relies entirely on his manservant, Hippolyte, who seems to have been carefully coached.
Okay, and then Poirot finds something, doesn't he?
Yes. Poirot tracks down the imitation rubies. He gets them from this discreet antique dealer, M. Papopoulos.
So the comp did have the fakes.
He did, which confirms his plan was theft by substitution. But the real rubies are still missing. This strongly suggests someone else committed the murder and took the genuine heart of fire.
Okay, so suspicion might shift away from the Comte, or at least complicate things. What about the husband, Derek?
Well, the accusation against Derek comes fast and furious, mainly from Morel.
Who is it?
Morel is an exotic dancer, and she was Derek Kettering's mistress.
And she's not happy.
Not at all. She's furious because Derek had just tried to break things off with her. She demanded he reconcile with Ruth, and he refused, so she's out for revenge.
What did she tell the police?
She claims Derek openly boasted that Ruth's death was the only way he could avoid financial ruin. Big claim.
Is there more?
Yes. She swears she saw Derek coming out of Ruth's compartment during the night somewhere near Lyon.
Okay, hold on. That sounds pretty damning. You got a witness, albeit a vengeful one, placing the desperate husband who stands to gain millions right at the scene. Why isn't that case closed?
Because it's Poirot. He doesn't just take testimony at face value, especially vengeful testimony. He looks for things that don't fit, incongruities.
And he finds some with Derek?
Two key things. First, Derek claimed he hadn't seen Ruth in weeks, hadn't spoken to her properly.
Okay.
Yet somehow he knew specific historical details about the Heart of Fire rubies. Details Van Alden hadn't told him, Ruth hadn't told him. So where did he get this information? It suggests he knew more or was closer than he let on.
Interesting. What's the second thing?
A physical clue. A small blue cigarette case was found in Ruth's compartment. It had the initial K on it.
K for Kettering.
Possibly. And the maid, Ada Mason, claims Ruth was planning to give it to Derek.
So more potential links between Derek and Ruth, despite his claims of distance.
Exactly. These details, they don't prove Derek did it, but they make Poirot suspicious of the simple narratives. They suggest Derek knows more than he's saying, which makes Poirot look beyond just the husband and the lover. He starts to suspect, well, everyone.
Okay, this is where it gets really good. The husband seems plausible, but has these inconsistencies. The lover planned a theft, not necessarily murder. So if it's not them, who is it? The killer must have been hiding in plain sight.
And that's exactly right. The real mastermind turns out to be the person least suspected, Major Richard Knighton.
Van Alden's secretary. The reliable, quiet Englishman.
The very same, seemingly impeccable, but in reality he was operating under an alias, the Marquis.
The Marquis sounds dramatic.
He was a notorious high-level jewel thief, a master criminal.
Wow, and he was working right under Van Alden's nose. How?
His greatest asset apparently was his manner. Plausible, ingratiating, completely trustworthy on the surface. He managed to get hired by Van Alden, who is usually very shrewd, based on a slight acquaintance and an excellent but totally fake record.
That takes some serious nerve. Pure confidence.
And it wasn't his first rodeo. Poirot's digging connects Knighton, or rather the Marquis, to previous big jewel heists. Yorkshire, Switzerland.
And the timing.
Crucial. Knighton had been employed by Van Alden for exactly 2 months before the murder. Just long enough to get the lay of the land, learn about the rubies.
Wait, 2 months? Didn't you say someone else was hired 2 months before?
Precisely. The maid, Ada Mason.
So she's involved. She wasn't just an innocent employee.
Not at all. Ada Mason isn't even her real name. She's a professional actress named Kitty Kidd.
An actress. So Knighton had an accomplice right there inside the victim's inner circle.
Exactly. A master criminal and a skilled actress. A perfect team for a heist.
What was their original plan then?
Originally, it was probably simpler. Just the theft. Use Kitty Kidd's position as the maid to get access to the jewels, maybe facilitate a swap, and set up the Comte de la Roche to take the fall. He was the obvious suspect, already planning a rendezvous.
But something changed.
Yes. Ruth deciding to actually travel with the hugely valuable rubies, Derek being on the scene, maybe other factors, it forced Knighton to improvise, to escalate from theft to murder.
And this improvisation, this is Poirot's big breakthrough, right? The reconstruction of the crime.
Yeah.
It completely shatters the accepted timeline.
Completely. It's breathtaking, really. Poirot reveals the murder didn't happen where or when everyone assumed.
When did it happen?
Ruth Kettering was killed before the blue train even got to the main station in Paris, the Gare de Lyon.
Before Paris. How?
Knighton boarded the train discreetly, not at a main station, but on the Centre, that's like a local connecting railway line around Paris. Fewer people, less security. He likely had only about 10 minutes.
10 minutes to get on, find her compartment.
Strangle her, take the rubies, lock the door, and set the stage for the next part of the plan. Then slip off again.
But the train kept going. The conductor would check on the passenger. How did they fool him? How did they make it seem like Ruth was still alive?
That was Kitty Kidd's role. Ada Mason, the actress, she put on the performance of her life.
How? What did she do?
She dressed up as Ruth. She put on Ruth's very distinctive clothes, apparently a valuable mink coat, and this specific red lacquer hat that people would notice. And she added 2 false bunches of auburn curls to mimic Ruth's hair.
So she impersonated her dead employer.
Yes. And when the conductor came by later, after Paris,
he saw Ruth, or rather Kitty Kidd in disguise. But wouldn't he notice the maid, Ada Mason, was missing? Or maybe even recognize the woman as the maid?
Ah, that's the clever part. Kitty Kidd, playing the mistress, told the conductor that her maid herself had been left behind in Paris. She said she only needed 1 sleeping berth made up.
And the conductor bought it.
He saw a woman in expensive furs, the famous red hat. She looked the part. He accepted the explanation. No reason to doubt her.
Incredible. So the person confirmed alive after Paris was the face Ruth, the actress. What happened to the real Ruth's body then? And how did Kitty Kidd get away?
Knighton probably moved the body into position later. Then, when the train reached Lyons, much further down the line, Kitty Kidd made her escape. But just before that, or maybe as she left, Knighton performed one last brutal act.
What was that?
He delivered a severe blow to the dead Ruth's face, post-mortem.
Why? Why disfigure the body after she was already dead?
To deliberately hinder identification.
How would that help?
Think about it. When the body is eventually found, the conductor comes to identify her. He saw the impersonator earlier, Kitty Kidd, wearing the distinctive coat and hat. Now he sees the real Ruth, but her face is badly injured. He might only recognize the clothes.
Right. He'd say, yes, that's the coat and hat the lady in compartment 7 was wearing. But the damaged face provides an excuse for why he doesn't quite recognize her. It confuses things, slows down identification, buys Knighton time.
Exactly. It's chillingly calculated.
What about Morel's testimony, seeing Derek near the compartment at Lyon?
Complete fabrication. The man she claimed to see never existed. That story was fed to Kitty Kidd by Knighton after the murder.
Why frame Derek, then, if the original plan was to frame the Comte?
Because the Comte's alibi, flimsy as it was, seemed to be holding up better than expected initially, and maybe Derek just seemed like a more convenient target after the fact. The murder forced them to adapt, to shift the blame.
And Kitty Kidd, the actress, just slips away at Lyon. Yeah.
Probably disguised again, maybe in men's clothing, as suggested. Used her acting skills to just melt into the crowds. A seamless exit. It's an astonishing piece of criminal choreography. So once Poirot unravels this incredibly complex scheme, the murder before Paris, the impersonation, the framing, things move quickly.
Justice is served.
Eventually, yes. Poirot uses his knowledge, figures out Knighton's background as the Marquise, pieces together the connections, and convinces Van Alden they need to gather the final proof. Knighton is eventually caught.
And isn't there a fantastic irony in how he's caught, or at least how Poirot figures him out?
Oh, absolutely. The Marquis, this master criminal, prides himself on logic, on perfect planning, on psychological control.
But his downfall comes down to what?
A very human emotion. He actually genuinely fell in love with Catherine Grey.
The innocent traveler.
The very one. And his attempt to frame Derek Kettering, who was also showing interest in Catherine, wasn't strictly necessary for the crime. It was driven partly by jealousy.
So that overcomplicated framing attempt, born out of emotion, gave Poirot the extra thread he needed.
Exactly. It was the unnecessary flourish, the piece that didn't quite fit the cold logic of the jewel theft, that helped pull the whole thing apart, his one weakness.
So what happens to everyone else in the end? Derek Kettering.
He's cleared, obviously, and the sources say he heads straight off to St. Mary Mead to find Catherine Gray, so romance might bloom there.
And Morel, the dancer who lied about seeing Derek?
She was sort of on the fringes. Turns out she ended up selling one of the imitation rubies supplied by Knighton's network via M. Papopoulos to some Greek ex-minister, so she got something out of it, indirectly.
Yeah, Catherine Gray is safe.
Yes, Poirot warns her, and she heads back to England, safely away from Knighton's dangerous obsession.
You know, what really stands out is Poirot's method here. It wasn't fingerprints or DNA.
No, not primarily. It was psychology, character analysis. He even told Van Alden, "I suspect there is nobody and nothing that I do not suspect." He understood the different personalities.
Like the Comte preferring substitution over violence.
The actress's ability to perform and deceive. And Knighton's, the Marquise, blend of meticulous planning and underlying arrogance, that love of risk.
And he combined that with noticing the tiny details that didn't fit.
The K on the cigarette case, Derek knowing too much about the rubies, Knighton's carefully disguised limp mentioned by another character, Lennox, the conductor's exact testimony about the clothes versus the face. He connects the small things to the big picture. Critical thinking over accepting the easy answers.
It's amazing. One train journey manages to destroy a life, yes, but also saves an innocent man, exposes this huge criminal operation, all spinning around one valuable red stone.
It really makes you think about, I don't know, the momentum of life, maybe, as Poirot suggests. Even with this brutal murder, this high-stakes crime playing out, everyone else's drives just keep going. Love, money, wanting a fresh start. It all just continues relentlessly alongside the tragedy.
It brings to mind that quote attributed to Poirot, doesn't it? Life is like a train, mademoiselle. It goes on. Even after something terrible, the journey continues.
Trust the train, mademoiselle, for it is le bon Dieu who drives it. It's a profound thought. What does it say about us that these fundamental drives persist no matter what?
A question to ponder, definitely. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Blue Train mystery, a world of appearances, deadly reality, and the secrets hidden just beneath that glamorous surface. We hope it's given you something to think about deception, detection, and the enduring complexities of human nature.